I know, you were skeptical when you clicked on this video. You might be thinking, clickbait! But I promise you, it isn't. In this video, I'm going to give you 5 solid reasons why I believe the best flight sim gear is actually sim racing gear. Meet the star of the show, an H pattern shifter. Sure, it's meant for grabbing gears in a manual car, but strip away the label, and in essence, it's just a cluster of incredibly heavy, satisfying metal switches. If you don't see the vision yet, stick around. Let me help shift your perspective. Reason number 1. Your best VR companion. Flying in VR is the absolute pinnacle of the flight simulation experience. But we can all agree that fumbling for a mouse or a controller when your hand should be on the throttle and stick completely ruins the immersion. So, we map those functions to our flight hardware instead. The problem? It is not easy to blindly locate a tiny switch when VR cuts off your real-world vision. That's where the H pattern shifter comes in. It's so big, you literally can't miss it. Reason number 2. Big controls for big functions. Have you ever noticed that in a real cockpit, some controls are disproportionately huge? There's a scientific reason for that, and it's called Fitts law, a core principle in aircraft design. It states that the time it takes to rapidly hit a target is a function of the distance to it and the size of the target. In plain English, the bigger the control, the faster you can grab it in an emergency. In the sim, if I'm taking fire from anti-aircraft artillery, spending more than a second hunting for my dive brake gets me shot down. If I have to feel around for the canopy jettison, I lose my window to eject safely. Even if you aren't flying hardcore combat sorties, having massive target areas for your most critical systems will absolutely make you a faster, better sim pilot. Reason number 3. Pseudo-Momentary Switches. You probably have a few switches on your current gear bound to your virtual cockpit. But standard on-off switches bring 2 massive headaches. First, they get out of sync. If you retract your landing gear, end the session, then restart cold and dark, your physical switch is still in the up position. You have to manually reset everything, or flip them twice just to get the game to recognize them. Worse, the simulator might automatically sync to your physical hardware and activate a system that shouldn't be on in the first place. If a switch can't actively sync with the game state, it's better not to have a persistent state at all. Momentary switches solve this by returning to a neutral position, so they're never physically stuck in the wrong state. With the H pattern shifter, you pop it into gear to send the command, and its own self-centering force lets you snap it right back to neutral. Reason number 4. The Ergonomic King. I probably don't have to convince you that slamming a heavy metal stick feels sublime, unless you're a fan of the Honda push-button shifter, in which case, please explain yourself in the comments because I am genuinely confused. Look at the landing gear lever or the canopy lever in my Corsair. They look almost identical to a car's gear stick. Throwing that shifter to open the canopy is so satisfying that my brain almost tricks me into feeling the wind in my face in VR. There is one catch that can break immersion though. In planes like an Airbus, controls often move vertically, but a car shifter moves horizontally. That disconnect can cause confusion. My hack? Mount it at a 45-degree angle. This perfectly bridges the gap. Plus, real aircraft have safety detents on emergency controls to prevent accidental activation. I highly recommend this Moza shifter I bought because you have to physically push the stick down into the base to access reverse and 7th gear, perfectly replicating a safety mechanism. Reason number 5. The void filler. The flight sim market basically has 2 segments. You have the high-end replica market and the low to mid-range general purpose market. High-end gear looks and feels incredible, but the drawback is that it's highly specific. If you buy a beautiful F-18 panel, it's not going to map perfectly when you decide to fly a completely different aircraft. Not to mention, it costs a fortune. On the other hand, general-purpose throttle quadrants work for almost any aircraft and are super affordable. But they're made of cheap plastic and feel like toys. There's a massive white space between these two extremes. We need something low-cost and general-purpose, but with heavy all-metal build quality. The H-pattern shifter completely dominates this void. It's all metal, it's incredibly satisfying to use, it's versatile, and relatively speaking, it's cheap. So, would you rather fumble around with annoying little plastic switches to save a few bucks? Or slam an H-pattern shifter for the ultimate flight sim experience? If you think you know a better alternative, I want to hear it too. Let me know in the comments below.